This is Stephanie Wilson, and this is Freedom Over Fascism Live. Today, we're going to talk to Dr. Eric Lullove. Welcome to Freedom
Hi.
Over Fascism Live. How you doing?
I'm good.
We've talked about all the things that we could talk about today, given the fact that it's the day after the State of the Union. We've
Which is
got
why I didn't really wanna talk about it.
right. Well, I didn't watch it, so
You know what? You're probably healthier for it.
oh my gosh, I totally I considered that, but, yeah, I needed not to be watching that.
The one thing with dear leader is, he uses the one thing that he's always been consistent with throughout his entire life, even from the '80s, is the fact that he firmly believes in tariffs, like, true to his core. Like, we always said that Trump doesn't have any core beliefs. Like, he didn't have anything that really drove to his core. I think we're kind of seeing that this is the one thing that is absolutely at his core, is he really does believe that tariffs are the answer to everything because of what framed his thought process in the '80s with the Japanese.
Mhm,
Then the '90s, it was the Europeans, and then the 2000s has been the Chinese.
mhm.
So this is something that has really gone through his entire core system, and I mean, for somebody who's not ever principled on anything, this is pretty evident. So,
Right, although he doesn't seem to quite understand what it
no,
means.
he has no clue. No.
Yeah, so let's take that as read and move on. I tried to, um well, a couple other things I just wanna touch on. Well, we won't actually talk about them. Um, Hockey with the US-Canadian game, which was awesome,
That's a
and then
touchy
they
subject for me having been a
fucked
hockey player.
oh my god. They
Mhm.
fucked it all up in the locker room.
I'm not wondering if they even had a choice. I'll be honest with
I
you,
I
I'm not wondering if the USA IOC hockey powers that be allowed just Cash Patel to walk into the locker room. I mean
so you think they
I've been in
did or
those
that they didn't?
I've been in a championship locker room. I know what that feeling's like. You're not even thinking about what's walking in, what's not. You're too busy just being exhilarated over what
Right.
just happened, and the really cool part, honestly, about hockey is, and you saw it with the women and you saw it with the men, is the celebration in an overtime, sudden death type style game winning. It's like complete chaos.
Right.
It is, you see the gloves are flying up in the air, the helmets, the sticks, everything's going everywhere. You don't see that in the NFL. I mean, the closest thing might be Major League Baseball with the gloves and the hats and everything,
Yeah.
but there's just nothing like a hockey celebration because it's all concentrated in one part of the ice rink,
Mhm.
corner, sidewall, half board, whatever it is, right? And it's like complete pandemonium for like 5 minutes.
Right. And I'm sure the adrenaline was high,
Oh my god.
and the
Yeah.
alcohol level was probably high
Oh,
very, very quickly.
hockey players can drink. You're from Boston, you should know. I mean, I'm from the like, hockey players can drink. We can throw down.
Right. It's just it's really, it's I don't wanna just say it's an unfortunate situation because they probably had very little choice and didn't quite even clock what was going on, but also, like, if you're representing the United States, you gotta be paying attention.
I'm I mean, these are kids. I mean, these are 25-year-old kids. I mean, they could have said, "You know what? We're gonna do this in the summertime. Like, we all have to get back to our teams. The league starts again on Wednesday. We need to get back. We've been gone for 2 weeks. We need to get back to our families. We need to get back to our lives. We have."
Mhm.
So, there could have been a better decision.
Right. Well, the other piece of hockey that's been in the news lately is heated rivalry, which is a completely different story, and,
Totally different.
uh and someday I will have a conversation about that with somebody on here because I am a fan and I also that's the kind of books I read, and I read the books when they came out 5 or 6 years ago, so let's put a pin in that,
Yeah, we
and
had to put a pin in that. That could take up a whole hour.
Hey friends, it's Stephanie. I'd like to talk to you about two of the sexiest things around: washing dishes and doing laundry. So, I heard about drops, these dishwashing and laundry pods, almost a decade ago. They promised to be dye and scent free. So, I ordered them, and guess what? They work really well at cleaning clothes and washing dishes. They don't irritate my skin or give me migraines with artificial fragrances. Did I mention they work? And they don't come in plastic containers. They come in cardboard boxes that recycle and break down quickly. Drops pods have prevented more than 9 million plastic bottles from entering the waste stream. They're vegan, they're cruelty free, they're free of phthalates, sulfates, and parabens. Drops is also a certified B Corp, which I just learned about, which is a community of businesses that meet verified social, environmental, and governance standards. And did I mention they work really well? With that said, Drops will give you 25% off if you use the discount code FREEDOM, and you'll get free shipping on first time purchases. It's DROPPS.com with the code FREEDOM. I'll be talking about this and a few other brands on Freedom Over Fascism, but only things I use myself that I can really vouch for and that share my values. Thanks for listening, and be sure to subscribe to Freedom Over Fascism. If you can afford a paid subscription, please choose that. And if you can't, please like, share, and get the word out. And now back to our conversation.
we're watching
Yeah.
the the hearing for Surgeon General. Dr. Casey means not clear to me whether she actually has a medical license.
I'm gonna use the term doctor only because she did graduate medical school,
Yeah,
and that's about where it should end.
right, she
We're talking about a woman who went to Stanford University, graduated medical school, got an ENT residency training program. So ENT is otolaryngology, right? So ear, nose, throat. And she quit 3 years into a residency training program.
right,
In a 5-year training program, she quits after 3. She lapses her medical license, so it's inactive, right? To become an Instagram influencer to peddle supplements, blood glucose monitor devices with her crooked brother-in-law or whatever, and, you know, gets fronted by her company $20 million by a guy who's been pushing out anti-vax, anti-pharmaceutical, supplemental witch hazel products on the market, like, just so so of course she latched on to RFK and latched on to this whole Maha movement,
mhm,
right? We're talking about somebody who in 2021 was taking psychedelic mushrooms because she couldn't deal with her breakup in her social life, so that it was the only way that she could stabilize her mental state so that she could remarry, and then
mhm.
she just had a child, which is why her hearing was delayed.
Yeah, well, they scheduled
Um,
it for the day she was due, which was,
right. So, you know, and in the hearing, was asked some very poignant questions from the Democratic senators in the Help Committee. So the senators on the Help Committee are chaired by, Senator Cassidy, who had the deciding vote whether or not RFK got the secretary position, and he failed miserably. I have no I have no belief in the fact that he's actually going to vote no against with her. I think he's too afraid of the MAGA base because he's being primaried.
Mhm.
So she's probably going to get confirmed,
Well, and,
assuming that Murkowski and Susan Collins actually grow a spine at some point.
what? No.
But so Susan Collins was concerned today in the hearing.
Of course she was.
She was concerned. That's her tagline.
That's her
I have concern,
that's on brand. That's
right?
right. So I I turned it on and tried to watch it at a faster clip so I could catch up all the way, and I didn't, but what struck me was that she is savvy enough to say all the right things
without
in
saying anything,
without saying anything beyond you should talk to your doctor.
which is bullshit because what she did say, though, that was really upsetting was making the point in the statement that physicians don't spend enough time to properly inform consent over medications and or vaccines and or other therapies that they're prescribing. And her go-to safe space was root cause, root cause, root
Right.
cause, right? Well, here's the thing. You come to see me for an orthopedic problem, I'm gonna try to figure out where the problem is. That's called root cause philosophy, right? But she believes in a version of medicine that has no board certification. If it does, it's not accredited. Okay. It's functional medicine. It's not accredited medicine.
Mhm.
She, you know, like went after like glyphosate, which, is the produced by Monsanto is the whole Roundup thing, right? And you're in
Mhm.
Massachusetts, so you know the whole what happened with Roundup. And that was actually a dose dependent problem where the all those issues where they had glyphosate poisoning in I think it was Western Massachusetts, I think.
Well, there's been multiple
There's been a lot of them
places.
in multiple communities where there was actually a batch fabrication problem where they actually increased the concentration and, like, everything and she was saying, "Well, it's glyphosate's poisonous." Well, so is water if you drink too much of it,
Yeah,
okay?
although,
I mean, anything in large enough quantity and overconsumption is toxic,
right.
whether it's alcohol, Coca-Cola, orange juice, water.
Although to be fair, those chemicals are not great for the
No,
human
but they
body.
don't cause cancer. Right? The whole point was that the glyphosate's been used for 50 years
Mhm.
as an herbicide. It does not cause cancer in the concentrations that the FDA had approved it originally. And, and let's put in fact that, you know, the administration just signed an executive order that is protecting Monsanto.
Right.
But she's out there testifying. Even RFK walked it back, But they were getting into like agricultural medicine and like this is not stuff that's the purview of the Surgeon General.
No.
No, they were getting into, like, soil health, and her whole thing has been about, like, healthy food like, that's fine, I have no problem, you wanna eat healthy food, but here's the problem. Go back and look through human history when we were eating nothing but organic meat and
Mhm.
drinking raw milk,
Right.
okay?
Yeah,
And
and we
and when
didn't
you
have
look at
any
when you
antibiotics
no
and
antibiotics, no sanitation, no pasteurization of the guess what people were dying from? Organic meat disease and bacteria,
right.
if they didn't get eaten by a dinosaur, okay? Or septicemia from a cut, right? Like, just.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, her whole thing has been like, you wanna make like, whole food more available, make it cheaper,
Mhm.
okay? Everything we eat has some sort of process to it, even when you make food at home, right? You
Right.
take a little bit of sugar, a little bit of salt, a little bit of wheat, a little bit of flour. You're composing and processing things to make bread.
Right, and you apply
Like, bread
heat
just
and
doesn't come off of a tree, and it doesn't grow out of a ground, and you have to, like, it's the same thing with potatoes, like, you can make a potato, but you can't turn that potato into bread without doing something else to it.
okay.
You have to process it. So, like, her whole food argument is just it's wonky, and she really shouldn't be confirmed.
Well, it's an answer to I think it's a reasonable answer
Speaking of
to
process.
a different question. So so the question, I mean, all of this is based on the assumption that, um, all things are equal. All things are equal, we should eat more healthfully.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
but
we
all
should
things
all
aren't
exercise
equal.
more, we should all
Oh,
sleep more, we should all stress less, and
we should all have money to go
right.
buy organic food. We should all have the benefits of medicine you can take to stop the food craziness noise in your head, with GLP-1s because lots of people have, like,
Yeah.
strange chemical, compositions, and and the other thing is we need to really focus on, like, so I don't have the anti-functional medicine in certain cases bias that you do. I think that it can be if somebody is using Western medicine, if they wanna supplement it with other stuff, great, for certain people at certain times. But the real problem is that there's not enough access. I mean, it's what Bernie Sanders was saying. We don't have access to health, to
And
affordable, high quality
let me
healthcare.
let me say this. I don't have an anti-functional medicine bias. I mean, I prescribe nutrient supplements out of my practice for my diabetic patients, for my nail patients, for patients who are undergoing, medical shockwave therapies for orthopedic conditions, for pre-surgery. They take, but that's also in conjunction with traditional medicine
Right.
techniques. So I use the supplementation because there's evidence
Mhm.
that shows that when used concurrent with traditional medicine, there's a therapeutic benefit. Now, the standalone therapy, absolutely not. I can't condone functional medicine as a standalone therapy because it's almost like kind of practicing Christian Scientism. Like you can sit there and go pray all you want. God ain't gonna take the cancer out of your gallbladder.
Right.
The gallbladder's inflamed, it's about ready to rupture. God ain't gonna save you there.
Yeah.
It's the doctor with the scalpel blade and or the appendix, or you've got a 30 centimeter, you know, retroperitoneal tumor that's pressing on your kidney. All the praying in the world and supplements in the world are not going to reduce that. That's why we have chemotherapy. That's why we have surgical excision. It's why you do PET scanning. It's why we do, we actually use science for once in a while to treat patients, believe it or not. Like there's actual
Well,
scientific, method.
right, and we're coming across one of the things that bothers me so much, so many things, is there's new science where there's vaccines for cancer. I
Yeah.
mean, there's the one from a long time ago, the HPV, but new mRNA
Like
vaccines.
Gardasil
Mhm.
for teenage kids. Yeah.
Donna asks, "What's the life expectancy in wealthy areas versus life expectancy in low income areas?" There's a massive,
Oh, it's huge.
massive,
I think
delta.
it's like 6.7 years or something like that. It's like it's statistically significant.
Right. I mean, and
And that
that
and that goes with economics too. That goes with the income gap as well. Like with patients who are in poorer socioeconomic areas get less care. It's just the reality of healthcare economics. But
yeah.
I get into these discussions with my colleagues over social determinants of health,
Mhm.
and part of me doesn't believe in them. Part of me does.
Well, there's always outliers in every
There's always an out
direction.
right. There's always an outlier, and, like, one of the things that I always try to be is real. Like, even when I'm talking about the medical stuff, and there's really stuff that I honestly have no knowledge base on, but I try to learn so I can at least kind of on a periphery discuss it generally.
Mhm.
You know, social determinants of health don't change the disease. A patient who's diabetic, for example, who has an elevated A1C, it doesn't matter whether you live in Brookline, Massachusetts, or you live in the poorest part of Western Massachusetts. Okay? Diabetes is diabetes.
Right.
The
But
disease doesn't change based on your income level or your
the disease
socioeconomic status.
doesn't change, but
The
whether
disease, and this is the argument against social determinants of health, is that the disease doesn't change because you have the disease. The disease changes because you have the ability to treat it properly. But the disease itself is not determinant based on health.
oh, well, I mean, it's a whole I think there in wealthier areas, there's more access to both healthy food and care. I'm talking type 2 diabetes for people to perhaps be able to avoid it. There's
Well, yeah,
care, there's medicine, there's food, there's GLP-1,
I
there's a
mean, listen,
whole
there's a definite relationship between, you know, level of socioeconomic status and healthy, okay? It's the difference between in, like, inner city Detroit, inner city Boston, inner city Charlotte, Jackson, Mississippi, where instead of, a true food on the corner, it's a
Mhm.
liquor store.
Right. It's not it's the food deserts, it's also the in the rural areas. There's
And rural areas too, in western Iowa and,
in
you know
Indiana, where I was doing some work, right after the abortion ban, there was, I think, uh, there were so all of the OBGYNs were leaving and training OBGYNs couldn't happen in state. And so lots and lots of people in rural areas had no access to OBGYNs, either with pregnancy or pregnancy loss or anything that goes with, the female uh, reproductive system. And because I don't know how I got to abortion, because abortion is healthcare, and if you can't do it, then you
I think
can't
you just
train on it.
selected
Hmm?
I think you just selected it.
I did select it, but the point is these healthcare deserts in rural areas are getting worse when they cut the Medicaid, and, I live in Boston. There are, like, 6 Harvard-associated hospitals, if I'm doing my counting right. There's at least 1 affiliated with Boston University. There are, like, 8 teaching hospitals
Right.
where they do the
Well, Boston's I
best.
mean, yeah, Mass
It's
General, it's you're in one of the epicenters of medical research, one, and you have MIT,
Mhm,
which then pushes all that technology to the med schools
right,
and the teaching hospitals. So you're in a very unique area. It's, like, no different than being in Minneapolis.
right,
Minneapolis, because of Mayo, there's a lot of the healthcare tech is around Minneapolis. Most people don't know this, that a lot of the healthcare technology companies are based in Minneapolis because of Mayo,
right,
because
and
of the
here too,
we at
because
Mayo, Boston, believe it or not so much New York because of the okay, but so, like, you're talking, like, in Houston, okay? The really large, really profitable foundation medical centers and university-based health centers have a lot of research-based technology companies for care. So,
right, and
if,
then
like,
there's clinical
it's huge.
trials that you have
Right,
access to,
right.
and
So even low socioeconomic environmental people who live in the greater Boston 200-mile radius have access to those teaching hospitals. But somebody who lives in Western Texas, for
mhm,
example, who or lives in Four Corners, US, right? The closest city is Santa Fe, does not have access to that.
no,
University of New Mexico, Santa Fe does not have the same resources that UC Santa Barbara has
mhm,
or UCSF.
mhm. My dad's getting his, dementia treatment through UC Davis, which is doing a huge study on I mean, he's in clinical trials and whatever because he lives in the Bay Area and has access to
I mean,
the
I'm in Southeast Florida, so I have the University of Miami health system, but we also, believe it or not, I've got Mayo down here. Mayo's opened up satellite clinics.
really? Oh,
University of
great.
Florida, HHS has a hospital down here and Cleveland Clinic.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow,
So,
that's more than I would've thought.
yeah. So, I mean, I have the University of Miami system, I've got Cleveland Clinic, I got HHS, University of Florida. So, like, for most people, they have to drive 30 plus miles,
Mhm.
which t at that when you have to drive 30 miles, that's considered rural healthcare.
Yeah, but a
And
lot of places
in
there isn't
what
anything to 30
Maha
miles.
what Maha is trying to explain, they're saying, "Oh, this is the greatest thing in healthcare since we created healthcare." And it really isn't. It's actually the most dangerous thing that they've created because it creates gaps. It creates it creates health disparity gaps in the population because, I mean, we've had this on you've seen me put this on different conversations with different people, and because they want us dead, broken, stupid,
Uh,
and sick.
yeah, dead, broke, stupid, sick
They want it,
in
yeah, dead
whichever
broke.
order.
It doesn't matter
Yeah.
what the order. They don't care what order it is as long as they get what they want. Is that they really want us uneducated, poor, and sick because those 3 factors means we're controllable.
Mhm.
And when you can control a population, then you've got the ability to manage the messaging because then people become desperate.
Right. I mean, if we're going to go that far, it's not just
Yeah.
poor, stupid, and hungry. It's you know, when they're very desperate, they will inform on their neighbors. They
Yeah.
will.
Well, you're seeing it now. You're seeing what's happening I mean, even with, like, Melissa in South Carolina. She literally is, she just announced that she's temporarily leaving Blue Media
Yeah.
because her entire her area is being overrun by ICE.
Right. She's in
And
Norfolk, Virginia.
she's in
Um,
Norfolk, and, which makes no sense because it's a military town. I mean, Norfolk, Virginia, it's naval base.
right.
So you
No,
got
it
ICE
doesn't.
running around a freaking naval base.
Well, I mean, most of it doesn't make sense. It's
Yeah,
there to instill fear. I mean,
right.
down the street from where I am, there's an ICE facility that is in an office park right next to the mall that everyone goes to, and um, it hasn't become huge here because they've been busy in Minneapolis and
And Maine.
Maine. Um, but quietly, they are expanding and they're everywhere. And as Melissa said, it's silent in her area. People, they're just kind of creeping in and taking people. And I don't know whether that's a function of the community not being out there in the streets like Minneapolis or because it's a more rural area, but
Probably
they
both.
they want to take people so that they can fill up private prisons
Mhm.
and
Concentration camps. Call it
concentration
what it is.
camps.
Call 'em
Eh,
what they are.
yes, concentration camps, gulags, um, so that they can traffic young women and or make breeding factories
Yep.
and kill off the rest. And
Sound
once
familiar?
they Hmm?
Sound familiar in history?
Yeah, and once they get through, taking anyone who looks remotely brown, they're just gonna move on because they'll never be satisfied.
And they will eventually come for, once they've taken everybody else, then they'll go after the ones that support them.
Right.
Well, they'll
Uh,
eventually get to their MAGA loyalists. They'll get them. But here's really the worst part about everything is I think Jill just put a question there. Do you think most Americans are realizing that's the challenge of reaching the brainwashed MAGA Maha loyalists? So here's where it comes down to, Jill. MAGA slash Maha will make excuses for their loyalty to Trump and the rest of the party elites to having without having to because it avoids having to deal with their own inadequacy of their decision making process. Oh, well, he's going after the migrants. He's going after the illegals. Well, no, he isn't. He's actually going after American citizens, and he just killed, you know, he killed two white Americans in the street. Killed, what was his name, Parker.
I don't remember, but there's untold
Plus
numbers
the
of
32 that died in custody that were Hispanic immigrants, whatever. And they'll
well,
keep
and
making
that
excuses. Well, I like his policies though. His policies are, the stock market's doing really well for my family.
yeah,
You know
but
what?
they don't have
Like
any money in this stuff.
most people don't, right?
That's my point.
Yeah, and gas prices is never an indication of the economy either because that's a commodity. It's like pork bellies, right? So
What is a pork belly?
pork belly's the fatty part of the bacon, like it's
Oh,
the under part of the pig where you can,
yeah.
you
This
know.
is, someone who didn't grow up with
Oh.
pork products,
Mm.
so
Well, I better living with bacon. Bacon always makes stuff taste better. That's that organic meat that we're, not it's the
yeah.
other white it's the other white meat.
Yes.
So, no, but we're everybody's like, "Oh, we're in a political, it's a political nightmare." No, it's not really. We're in a human rights
Catastrophe.
First Amendment catastrophe.
We absolutely are.
And we're not but let me get to my point, is that MAGA will continue to make excuses for MAGA. These people are so far gone that unless a nuclear bomb went off in their backyard and it was labeled "Trump says hi," they could care less. They're like, "It doesn't affect me. This is not my issue. I like what he does." I was just in the barbershop this morning, and
Nice. Good
yeah, like,
hair.
nice
Good
and
job.
tight, like my fade? Anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
so, it's so, like, my barber, who's one of the owners, doesn't follow politics at all. One of the barbers is ex-military, and he's very vocal in the barbershop, and they've talked to him about it because he's pure MAGA.
Mhm.
And his takeaway from last night was that Trump's statistics were off. That was his takeaway was, "Oh, well, he some of his numbers were fabricated."
Well, that's better than it's been,
W
but
one
it doesn't
one of the
actually
other
change the
clients
bottom
that was
line.
sitting in the other owner's chair,
Mhm,
okay, was pissed that when he showed the girl that got stabbed on the bus, and he went through the story, and it was really vulgar what he was doing because he went through the whole story about how she was sliced open and the blood was pouring out, like, he was kind of, like, glorifying the trauma.
mhm.
For some sick, sadistic reason, he's explaining this on national television in expl that's a whole 'nother level of psychological analysis that I really can't get into, but, you know, but, like but he was pissed because the Democrats didn't stand. Now, I was pissed because the first thing that they should have done was got up and walked out when he started lying about everything. They should have just gotten up and walked out. Just make the statement. Don't give him the satisfaction of you sitting there and not standing for anything or applauding for anything. Just get up and leave. Like that would have been a better statement. Or just put pictures of all the Epstein survivors in your seats and then get up and leave.
I completely agree.
Like, I mean, that would have made a statement. Tell me what you're for. Okay.
Always tell
Right.
me what you're for. Yeah,
And
that's
Jeffries is just sitting there like this the whole time. Jeffries is like this.
right, 'cause yeah. It was interesting. I watched Adam Kinzinger for 5 minutes before the State of the Union. He said,
Ugh.
when you're sitting in
Why?
there wait, but listen, this is has nothing to do with ideology. He's like, "You're
Okay.
sitting there, and all you can think about it's hot, and they have these lights, and you can't go to the bathroom if you need to, and all you can think about is, am I supposed to stand? Am I supposed to clap? If I don't clap, will the leadership" like, it was all just, like, his internal monologue being in the room. I'm not gonna get into whether, Adam Kinzinger what his story is, but the fact that probably is the inner monologue of most of the people in there. It is like, "What am I supposed to do now?" Like, it they should have walked out or, Al
Or
Green
not
always
go.
comes up with something
Or not go.
or not go.
Or if you just don't wanna be there, sit in the back. Like, I felt bad for the Supreme Court justices as much as I, like, don't really like Kavanaugh, and I could really not give a shit about Roberts or
I, Eileen Cannon, no, that was
no,
slip
no,
the
no, no,
tongue.
no. No, don't
Um,
ever mention her in Supreme Court in the same sentence with me again. That's like a big no-no.
what's her name?
Amy Coney Barrett.
Amy Coney Barrett.
I mean, he literally blasted them. He, like, stood there, like, 10 feet away from them and just was like, "That was a bad decision, I'm sure." Crazy grandpa scolding, like, the kids. Like, it was, you know but don't even get me started with Aileen Cannon because she's just a complete there's gotta be a way literally, like, if I literally had a choice in the matter, I would figure out a way to get her off the bench.
She doesn't belong there.
Like, I would just basically, like, be like, "You're done." Like, I would order the Chief Justice for the Southern District of Florida, be like, "Listen, you need to suspend her and put her through judicial review because she doesn't know the law." Like, it's obvious she doesn't know,
Well, and she's compromised, and Gillis Cannon is compromised,
they're
Kavanaugh
all
and
compromised.
Thomas and Roberts.
They're all compromised.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think Sotomayor and Kagan and, um, uh, what's her name? God, you make me do this. The newest
I make you
justice.
do this? It's the first time we're doing this. I make you do this? Really?
Yes, it's all your fault. Um, uh, um, oh, shit, I can't remember her name. I'm sorry.
What
Um,
to whom?
the newest justice.
Amy Comey Barrett.
No,
Oh,
the
no,
other one.
Ketanji Jackson.
Thank you. Um, sorry, guys. I mean,
That
yeah,
that's
it
her
got
fault over
like
there.
we got like migraines, menopause. It's just not a good combination for names. Um,
So, everybody, the next time you wanna see Stephanie on Freedom Over Fascism, there's usually gonna be a yellow caution tape, like, before you enter the chat room and before the Substack starts that says, "Please enter at your own recognizance."
she might get names wrong. She may completely lose her train of thought in the middle of a sentence. Somebody commented on one of my, uh, and this isn't you guys. I know this isn't you guys. I hope it's not you guys. Commented on one of my videos. It was really interesting, but if you could just finish your thought and not take so long in asking your questions. And I was
Listen,
like,
I don't think people in the chat truly understand how difficult it is to host a show. Like,
It's
I
not
I I public speak for a living. I'm constantly doing podium presentations. I'm always traveling and doing stuff for medical conferences. I have one next week in Tampa. I've got one the following week in Boston. I'm I'm used to speaking in front of people, and I don't have a problem telling people what I think. And I've done enough
really,
Zooms that no,
Eric.
this is a
Mm-mm,
facade, really. I just,
mm-mm.
and I literally, don't cower in front of people. Like I want to be challenged. I want to have robust debate. I want to have the ability to fight back verbally. Plus, not to prove you my not to prove that my point is right, but because I am right. Okay,
Eric Lullove, right or wrong, never in doubt.
that would that would be the wrong manosphere right there. No, but to basically make the point so that at least you have an understanding of where I'm coming from. Whether or not you disagree with me or agree with me, you have the right to under Article 1, First Amendment right, and but the point of having these conversations is not for you and me. Like, we do this for you. We do this we do these live Substacks, everybody, because we find each other intriguing and we want to engage, but it's also really to help engage all of you in the chat
And
because
all of the
like
people that you engage with in the
and all
real
the people
world.
that you engage with, if we can give you 1 or 2 talking points that you take back to your friends and family that you're like, "Wow, that was mind blowing." Like, you know, like, wow. Then we've done our job, as Substackers. Boy, that just sounds like dirty, doesn't it? I'm a Substacker. I'm a
I've been doing the podcast before. I mean, I was on Substack for a long time, but that was just because I had free email. Um, seriously, I didn't start lives until this fall. But I try to talk to people who have a perspective that not a lot of people have. I mean, there's so much going on in the news. And yes, I'm going to talk to Ellie next Wednesday.
Woo! Love
Woo!
Ellie. Love
Ellie's the
Ellie.
best. Ellie's the best. I know she's phenomenal.
For
But
those of you that are not subscribed to Stephanie, do it now before you forget.
oh,
Just
thank you.
and hit and smash the hearts, please.
Smash the hearts.
Smash the heart.
Uh, uh, yeah. So my point is, I try to get people that can help us understand where we are, what we're doing, how we can fight back, what we ought to be saying. And it's for the people in the chat and it's for the people who there's a whole lot more who download and listen to the podcast
Yes.
on Apple Podcasts than are in the chat with us right now. Um, and I think that there's lots of people who are doing the breaking news, and they're doing some of them are doing a great job, some of them are doing a shit job. Um, but that doesn't need to be me. And there are lots of people doing, you and Nick, who came in. I don't know whether he's still here doing the intelligent masculinity
Walter and Evan.
and Walter and Evan and the new manosphere. It is incredibly important
Yes.
and sort of pushing the bounds of what these Substacks are and creating a community. Feel like it's
There's Nick.
amorphous.
There's Nick.
Hey,
Hey,
hi,
buddy.
Nick. Uh, this community is something that, is one of the most special. I came here because I had free email, and I'm staying here because of the community. Because
I didn't think I was going to I okay, so when I first when I first heard of Substack, it was more like, "What is this Substack? I'm hearing a lot about this. Let me jump on real quick." And as I can hear Stephanie thundering on her keyboard right now in the middle of my thought
oh, really,
process. Um, so when I first joined Substack, it was more and everybody we didn't really do the intro, so I let me go back and now that we're 35 minutes into this, I'll do the intro now. Um, so I'm Dr. Eric Lullove. I am the Chief Executive and Medical Officer of the West Boca Center for Wound Healing. I'm a board-certified foot and ankle podiatrist surgeon based in Southeast Florida, and I do a lot of public health policy, and I'm one of the national experts in wound healing and wound management. I've routinely been at HHS, sitting in policy and coverage policy meetings for the last 15 years. And I just got back from one a couple weeks ago and basically like kind of threw word salad at John Brooks, who's the deputy administrator for CMS. And I've sat in the room with these guys from the last basically 3 administrations. And I can actually tell everybody just right off the bat that these are the dumbest motherfuckers on the planet. These are literally the dumbest people running our healthcare administration right now.
they
But anyway,
want us
so that was
dumb,
my intro.
stupid, and poor.
Yeah, that was my intro. Hey, like, was that good?
Yeah, it was a
Was
great
that in
intro.
line?
That
Yeah.
was absolutely great.
But right, so but, like, getting back to what you were saying, is just, like, so where I got on Substack was and really what really blew up with me was I started going on Gen X, and that's, I think, when you and I first kind of met, and I started and I just happened to make a donation to Feeding America, and then Lawrence and Dana kinda called me out. So then my first Substack show was with them, and I started kind of hopping on all the shows and just being in chat between patients and just hopping on here and there. Sometimes I'm for the whole show, sometimes I'm not. Sometimes it's I gotta step out because I have patients or whatever. But and then what happened with at the end of last year was that I had been speaking with Evan Fields for a long time. Like Evan and I were friends for on Substack for really a few months. Probably since like I'm gonna like October. And then Evan kinda told me he was starting to go through his divorce, and then he did a live one day and was just circling the drain. He was just
I actually saw that, and
yeah,
I wrote to Nick and you know,
yeah, and I said the same thing, like, I immediately messaged Nick, I'm like, "We gotta get Evan on a live. Like, we need to get him to air this out." And that's how intelligent masculinity kinda got born. It
mhm,
was really, like, basically Nick, me, and Walter getting Evan to kind of get it all out with with guy buddies. Right, where he could be in a safe space to do it.
and that
And then
I watched that, and that was the most incredible Substack session that I have ever seen, because you all 3 of you were there for him, but you were guiding him in a way that he could process, his situation
in a
more
healthy way,
honestly
yeah.
in a healthy way.
And then
Um
what Nick has been able to do with what we kind of, you know and then we kinda started doing we kinda decided we're gonna do this show, like, twice a month, which is called the Diogenes Club,
mhm.
and then we're gonna start going weekly beginning next week. So we're gonna be doing it weekly at Thursdays at 12:30, but Nick has been doing this whole series with other men. that are in Substack. He's done Marlon Weems. He just did Will Fullwood yesterday. He's done Frederick Poag. He's done um, Shane Urak. I mean, there's just Walter Ryan. I mean, and Nick's got a show with Walter on Tuesdays for notes of the week and stuff like that. But what Nick has been able to draft and write, and Nick is very gifted at this. Like, I really envy his
Nick is
writing.
gifted at everything. Nick,
If
gifted at
you need
everything.
your garbage disposal done, call Nick Perro and
And you
at
want a
802.
symphony written at the same time.
But if you also need a ghostwriter, call Nick Perro at 802. And if you have any Star Trek questions, call Nick Perro. But anyway, that's really kind of really where this is all kind of gone. Oh, you're welcome, Nick. We love you too, buddy. But where we're all going with this community has created this environment where I had no idea who Stephanie Wilson was 2 months ago. No
Or
clue.
should you have?
Nor should have had, right? I mean, why would I live in South Florida? You live in Boston. Why would I have any, right? Or the same thing with Nick, same thing with Joe Walsh or, Zev, Dean,
Mhm.
Ellie I mean, Ellie is just, everybody knows Ellie now. She's like a
I
household
was
name.
She is, and I just saw an article that she wrote, like, her first article, and I got her on here, and then uh she is one of the most
She's special.
talented, special, um, if you don't know Ellie Leonard, she's combing through the Epstein files
But
and finding, uh so she's finding, a lot of the information and putting it together in a way that makes sense. Zev Shalev is doing the same, but with
yeah,
the financial side of it.
right. I don't wanna discount all of the people that are also helping Ellie. There is a
Right.
group of women from a Lauren and her whole group of friends. Like, they have a whole signal chat of, I think, like, 15 women who I think you should actually talk to as well, Stephanie,
Mhm. Yeah.
because there's this group of, like, 15 women that are ripping through these files that are forwarding all this information to Ellie that she's been able to kind of compile. So it's really it's amazing the community that has kind of grown from the Epstein file release and how women are coming together to get this information out, to get it to Ellie, to get it to Kate Justice so that Zev and Dean and you know,
And Lev, who was
Lev and
in the chat
Cliff
for a
and
while. Yeah.
right, like, it's just I mean, it's just what this what I think honestly the greatest thing that happened to the American people, or at least for the community here, was the corporatization of the media. Getting to the point where these fucking asshole billionaires, Larry Ellison, buying up CNN and buying up CBS and all this other shit and forcing everybody into this media. Jim Acosta leaving, Tara Palmieri leaving, Cliff Schechter and David Schuster leaving NBC and coming and forming Blue Ant Media here, and Ellie leaving the New York Times and just, you know, and
Katie
this
Fang, yeah.
Katie Fang leave, Joy Reid, right? And everybody coming here, and all of a sudden, like this explosion of like independent media,
Mhm. It was about
which
a
I've
year
never
ago.
seen in my lifetime. When I
Yeah.
grew up, it was the Detroit News, the Detroit Free Press, it was Walter Cronkite and the other guys that were on the other networks that nobody knew about because everybody watched Walter Cronkite. And then all of a sudden, like internet, then it was like CNN was the first full-time news station. We're not going to talk about that other three-letter word station that, you know,
It's entertainment
right.
for others.
Like, seriously, like, I think, like, in this by the way, everybody, this was not where Stephanie and I had originally discussed this entire podcast to go today. This is like
I knew it would go where it
that's what
wanted
makes
to
this so
go.
but this is what makes this stuff so organic. Like, we're not scripted. We're not a TV show.
Mm-mm. And, I have thoughts about some of those bigger creators, um, and being a smaller creator,
Mhm.
um, I don't make any money at this, which makes it easier to get burnt out.
because there's no return, and so I might take a couple weeks off. But,
Which is
um,
okay. It's okay to
yeah, we
unplug.
are. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to. Sorry, I need my chemicals.
Okay. Your chemicals. I just I drink, I stick, iced water, and I stick a tea bag in it, and you get instant iced tea, and it's much better than straight water, in my
Well, I
opinion.
could well, listen, it's only the middle of the day, but I can go to the harder stuff if we need to. I mean, if I
Oh,
really,
okay.
really want to, I mean, I can go hard here. I
Whoa.
mean, this isn't like network TV, I'm allowed to drink alcohol, but I'm not gonna open this, it's more. But it's I have a patient of mine who's from Germany, so he brings me all these different beers and, you know so October is always my favorite time of the year because he always winds up he goes to
Oktoberfest.
Germany in September and then he always goes to Oktoberfest and then he brings me back. I have some
Yeah.
really, really wonderful patients, and I've got some other patients that I really just would throw off a cliff.
I
So,
mean, that's people.
that's people.
No, we're not scripted. I do wanna say that this whole independent media, one of the first people to do it was, Tara McGowan with Courier Media, talking
Mhm.
to her on Tuesday, guys. Um, and now she's got her own podcast. And the more we can make it work with independent voices, especially the ones who are doing amazing research or bringing voices in that you don't normally hear, or um, just bringing different perspectives. For instance, I kind of wouldn't mind doing a uh, a woman, a middle-aged woman who's still a parent of a sandwich generation kind of podcast, um,
Hmm.
just to bring people together who are like, we were older
Well,
parents, so in our 50s, still have kids in school, have parents that are deteriorating, in the middle of menopause. Um, I
it's not
think
my
that's
wheelhouse.
not your wheelhouse. I'm
Not
looking
my
at people in
wheelhouse.
the chat and just saying that that's a thing, like, that's my version in my head of the manosphere stuff because we're people don't talk about that either. Oh, it's getting late, so, um, the sun's in my eyes, sorry.
Well, listen, and there's a whole sphere of mature womanhood that gets ignored. The focus has always been on, oh, the younger TikTokers and the younger women. I mean, you go on Instagram and TikTok and it's all younger kids. You don't really ever see the mature 50-year-old.
Well, actually, you do. It depends on your algorithm.
That's
I see
true, and
that.
since I barely ever go on those anyway, I don't really see much anyway. So, most of my stuff that pops up is either pickleball related or something else. So, that's pretty much my algorithm on, like, Instagram is more
Instagram.
pickleball. Yeah, it's more
Mine is
TikTok related
heated rivalry.
and hockey stuff, right? Like, but, like, I know I wanted to come on here and really talk about, what happened this morning in the hearing. For those of you that have gotten on late, the original impetus was to talk about, Casey Means, who is the Surgeon General nominee, by the administration. She had her public hearing today with the, Senate Help Committee, chaired by, Senator Cassidy, who was the one that backed off his idea of not voting in RFK and then wound up voting for him. So, it was pretty much a shit show this morning. She's adept at not answering and answering at the same
Oh
time.
my god, she was phenomenal at
Yeah.
not answering anything.
So her background was basically just to kind of reiterate, she basically went to medical school at Stanford, never finished her residency as an ENT, which is an otolaryngologist, ENT, ear, nose, throat physician. Never finished her residency, never practiced. Like never her license is inactive. She is a disaster. like like the nth scale. She became an Instagram influencer on functional medicine products, which is like supplementals and holistics and snake oil shit and elixirs, and got some seed money of like $20 million from, I can't remember the guy that seeded her first company, but wound up going into business with like her brother-in-law,
Was it Andreessen?
Andreesa, yeah, Mark
Mark
Andreesa.
Andreessen.
Yeah. Yeah, he gave her like 20 million to start the company, and then she wound up like kind of like forcing patients into these blood glucose control meters that they didn't need, and wound up like with the False Claims Act, and like it was just all kinds of like federal fraud issues. And then she was not disclosing all of her relationships online, which was a violation of the FTC.
Right.
But, like, it was just there's a lot of, like, big red flags with her other than the fact that she's a maha moron and won't like, she literally had put out on X that, any parent giving their child, infant, newborn hepatitis B vaccine should be, criminally prosecuted,
I did not
okay?
know that. That's
Now, just for those of you that are not medically aware, hepatitis B is one of the most infectious disease viruses that we have, and as infants, they have no natural immunity to hepatitis B. It can be transferred through the placenta, it can be transferred through food, can be transferred in the air, can be transferred. I mean, infants are very susceptible to hepatitis B. And Hep B vaccinations and the recommendation from the ACIP, the ACIP from the CDC was to give newborn babies hepatitis B vaccines.
like on the first or second
Like
day. I mean,
like
they
day
like
1, day 1, right? As soon as they're born, they get stuck. Like, within, like, 10 minutes after their APGAR, they get stuck. Um, it's, like, really, like, the first vaccine they get. And, they're saying, "Nope, nope, don't give babies the hepatitis B vaccine."
right.
It
Again,
it's I mean, this is, like these anti-vax fuckers that are all over the ACIP that RFK has appointed. There's only one person left on there that actually is for vaccines because he wrote the book on it. But the other 7 people are just disaster is not even the word for it. Like,
right.
whatever's worse than, like, catastrophic disaster, if you could think of a synonym for it, and I'm more than happy to people in the chat if you could come up with something because I don't have a term for it. If you were to put catastrophic disaster in the same sentence and then come up with something worse, and Donald Trump doesn't count, you can't use that one. But
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I'm gonna go to prison. They're gonna pull this podcast and send me to prison.
Well, hopefully not this one. But, I I just wanna I'm glad that we had and I think we need to wrap up, the
Really 2 o'clock
chance.
already? Holy shit.
I know, it went
How are
fast.
goes like this, everybody, I swear to God.
It went fast. I'm sorry we were all over the place, but I'm not sorry.
I'm
Hashtag
sorry,
sorry,
not
not
sorry.
sorry.
Sorry, not
Uh,
sorry.
and, let me know in the chat or if on a DM whether you would be interested if I went off on a non-political podcast, for sandwich generation women. Um, and, I'm gonna let Eric, tell you when he is when
Self-promotion time?
it is shameless promotion time right
Shameless
now.
promotion time. Well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in, all 117 of you. Stephanie and I really appreciate it. We're gonna have to do this again and have a better script. We were all over the place.
Yeah.
This was like drunk grandpa driving the car today. This Oh my god. Anyway, so you can reach me on Substack at Dr. Lullove, DrLullove. I don't have a fancy QR code like Nick does when he puts it up there for everybody, but
I don't have to.
um
I mean, I'm
I
not
do
fancy
not have
that
a
way.
paywall. Everything for me is free. I do not make money on you people. It is not my job to take your money. If you want, support my colleague over here because she's the rock star superstar. So support Stephanie Wilson, support other Substackers who are really dependent on your help and your support to get their message out. I do not need your support financially. I'm doing just fine. So I'm good. But support me just by following and subscribing so that you can pay attention to what I do. My focus is more on healthcare policy and the intersection between healthcare policy and politics. I do stray into cooking every once in a while. I have to put up my bread recipe of the week. I put the bread up yesterday. I did not on Monday. I did not actually put the recipe up. I have to do that today, which I'll be doing right after this. So the bread of the week was my homemade whole wheat skillet pita bread.
Oh my
So
gosh.
Is
Yeah.
that an Instagram favorite?
Mm-mm.
No, okay, I might
Mm-mm.
need to get
No,
that
this
from
is
you,
my
and
recipe. It goes with my hummus recipe.
okay, I might need to get that from
My
you.
better than store-bought hummus.
Well, everything's better than store-bought. Um,
So that's how you can get it. That's how you can get it. That's how you can find me, everybody.
Thank you so much, Eric. And you all know you can find me at freedomoverfascism.us. If you have the means, I could really use the paid subscription or buy me a coffee. And I am planning on continuing to have interesting people that have a point of view and
I'm not that
expertise.
interesting.
I
I'm not
mean,
interesting
our
enough.
conversation may have been interesting if people like meandering blah blah, but
We'll
I'm
reschedule
gonna try.
something that's a little bit more structured, but if
Yeah.
everybody can give Stephanie some feedback, if you like the unstructured talk versus something that's like, we're gonna go through section 1, ABC, section 2, ABC,
Well, I don't
or
usually do that anyway because with experts, I just follow where they lead. Um, and some people really like that, and some people don't. But I try to just go as deep as I can with them on their expertise. Um, Monica, I'm not sure that you missed that much,
I
but
don't know how much you missed Monica, I'm just saying, it's just
I think that we missed you more than, you may have missed us. But anyway, I loved having you on, Eric.
nah, thanks,
I
Stephanie.
love our community. I feel like I'm just kind of at the fringes of it, and,
No, you're knee deep in it with me.
no,
Mm-mm.
okay.
We're going in the deep end.
Alright, excellent. Well, and with I do chronic illness, with Nick, chronically illing out with, Nick Pero and Soso and, Beth Cruz on Mondays at 11 Eastern, and Freedom Over Fascism Tuesday and Wednesday, although I might take a break soon. And, in a bit, when I'm done teaching a class on, uh, empathy-based leadership, I will come back to the Anti-Fascist Book Club on Friday. I
And you can
teach
reach me at the Diogenes Club at 12:30 PM on Thursdays with Nick, Walter, and Evan Fields. And that's my only scheduled show I do during the week. A lot of the things I do are just kind of unscheduled. So sometimes you might catch me on a surprise live, which is how I like to do things. So
a clear
clearly,
So anyway, thank you everybody. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you later.
thanks everybody. Have a great day. Fight the fight.
Thank you for listening to Freedom Over Fascism. You can find us online at www.freedomoverfascism.us. Please become a subscriber, and if you have the means, please support us with a paid subscription.